Part two of our report card season, mid-season edition, Fenway Rundown. I'm Chris Cotillo. Sean McAdam. On Tuesday, you heard us talk about the Red Sox pitchers and how we would grade them so far this season. Today, probably a little shorter version because there are fewer guys to get to. Look at that grammar. The Red Sox position player list looks a lot different than it did when we started this season, Sean. We will, of course, get to a couple of those guys who have joined the team in a minute. But first, we have to talk about honorable mentions. The honorable mentions in this case include some guys that have not mattered much to the Red Sox, and then some who mattered immensely, who are no longer on the team or hurt. So the three that we're not going to grade because of too small of a sample: Nate Eaton, Blake Sable, and Nick Sogard, who have all been up and down. 8 games for Sable and Eaton, and 17 for Sogard. It is what it is. And then the two we will mention before we actually get into grades, and it'd be weird to grade either of them really. Tristan Casas down for the year after a month with a season-ending knee injury, and Rafael Devers, who is no longer, I don't know if anyone's heard this at home, no longer on the Red Sox. We've covered that in about 8 straight podcasts. Of course, Devers was playing really well before the trade, a 905 OPS. I wouldn't even know where to start in grading the Rafael Devers experience in 2025 because if you take the OPS and then you add it to the rest of everything that happened, I don't know, you got to do like 18 separate grades. And again, I didn't read your notebook last Friday where you graded everybody, so I don't know if you handled either Casas or Devers, but now is your
I
chance to let me know.
yeah, I did with Casas, and since we're not giving him a grade, I'll tell you that I gave him an F.
Okay.
He, no knock on him that he got injured. That's not his fault. But through the first 5 weeks, he gave them almost nothing offensively and didn't play particularly well in the field either. So a huge disappointment when he was healthy. I did not grade Rafi. Probably would have given him an A minus with a million asterisks, as you suggested. And I also put Roman Anthony on the incomplete. He's been in the big leagues less than 3 weeks. I
Well,
don't know.
he's where we're going to start. So,
Okay, well, go ahead, but I don't have a grade for him.
Roman Anthony,
Oh, good.
19 games, 73 plate appearances at this point. He has gotten hot kind of in the last couple of days, three straight
Three multi-hit
multi-hit
games in a
games.
row.
Yep, hitting 210, homer, 5 doubles. To me, the number that strikes out here, 19 strikeouts, 10 walks for a 21-year-old is pretty impressive. Plate discipline has been great. Approach has been great. Hit the hell out of the ball, and defensively, other than maybe that first day, he's held his own. So it is it incomplete. We should not grade Roman Anthony after a couple weeks,
Yeah, well,
but we're
we
going to
know.
here, and so I'll give him a B minus and maybe a C plus. But like it doesn't matter. So that's the takeaway there.
Yeah, well, you and I know, and those who watch pre and post game press conferences with the manager, you know that one of Alex Cora's favorite phrases are the words "you see it," and you see it with Roman Anthony. It's not done yet.
Hmm.
It's not complete. It's going to get better, but you can see in flashes why this guy is or was the number one rated prospect in the industry. Better of late, which suggests that he's figuring things out. We have no doubt he's going to be a star. It's an incomplete so far. I would agree with Chris. I would be somewhere in the C plus C range, with understanding that it's not fair to look at the first 3 weeks when you're being thrown into the deep end. But with the at bats, the instincts, the way he carries himself, you can see why they love him so much and why so much is expected of him.
Yep. And so that is Roman Anthony again. For those who might have missed the pitcher edition, we went by innings total, um, and so we're going to go by plate appearance total. Again, Anthony's at 73. So this is going to be, disjointed, right? Next, you would think we would go with Meyer and Campbell. That's not how we're doing this. We're going from fewest plate appearances to the most, which is Jarren Duran. We will end with him. But now, Sean, we must go to Connor Wong in 84 plate appearances. He has 11 singles. Um, in 84 plate appearances, he has 11 singles. So
Yeah, and
there you
one,
go.
count it, one run batted in.
Yes. And
Target.
actually, you know what? I did the story on him last week. The defensive numbers actually have taken a huge jump. Unfortunately for the Red Sox, he's not been out there enough for that to really kind of take hold. We'll get to Narvaez in a little bit. Go ahead with your Wong grade.
D minus. The guy went into spring training as the clear-cut number one catcher, missed a few weeks with a broken bone in his hand, and saw Carlos Narvaez, who we'll get to, come in and swipe his job, probably for good. And now the lone piece remaining, at least in terms of the direct product of the trade that sent Mookie Betts and David Price to the Dodgers, is kind of a backup and maybe isn't guaranteed to even do that much. Um, I don't think he's necessarily a non-tender candidate this winter, but he has really fallen off. It seems like every offseason there's a new issue to solve. Can he get better defensively one year? Can he get better offensively one year? I gave him a D minus. He's had next to no impact when he's played, and we don't expect that he's going to play a whole lot going forward.
Yeah, I give him a D minus for all the reasons you outlined. Offensively, this is a guy who had a pretty good year last year. I know he scuffled a lot in the second half, or was good early and average to below average late. But if you look at it and you look at the extra base hits, 13 homers, 24 doubles the year before, 9 homers, 25 doubles. Again, this year, no extra base hits yet. It's July 1st. But I'd also say with that, he's a good guy to have as your backup catcher in a way that he's been around. He knows the pitching staff. He might get hot with the bat, has pop when he's going well. And also, like, he's the type I feel like if he played every day, he'd be able to get going a little bit more. And so if something happened to Narvaez or they wanted to start Wong 3 out of 4 days, like you could do that. It's not, Sable or one of these guys with little major league experience. It's a guy who's been there and done that. So in that way, I think it's all right. But yes, it has been a lost year for him. Now we go to one of the other rookies, Marcelo Meyer. We're up to 28 games, 89 plate appearances. The counting stats don't jump off the page either. 220 with a 709 OPS for the 4 homers, the 4 doubles. To me, the story here is defense at a position where he really barely played. He's been really good. So for that, I give Meyer a B minus, but it's in the same realm as the Anthony incomplete, where I think Meyer, just what he's given you defensively, has shown that the floor with the glove is going to be ridiculously high, and what you get out of the bat will develop over time.
Yeah, been tremendously impressed by the way he's played third base and the couple of games he's played at second, for that matter. Look, there's a lot to handle when you are making your big league debut. That goes double for when it happens in a market like Boston. People have been counting the days for him to arrive. He's a guy who got a standing ovation who when he went out to take sprints in the outfield prior to his debut.
And
A
you know
lot
what?
of
And triple the pressure when you're replacing a guy like Bregman too.
Right, right. I am blown away by his instincts, his ability to remain calm. He has an internal clock. He knows how much time he has to make throws to first. One of the things that sticks in my mind was a ball that he fielded on his backhand, carrying him into foul territory. He planted himself and then realized that nothing good can come of making the throw to first because he was not going to get the runner, and he ate it. And not many rookies would do that. They'd be trying hard to make the play and finish the play, maybe skip a ball past the first baseman. You're giving away an extra base. He just held on to the ball. That kind of poise and instincts and baseball intelligence is rare. Offensively, up and down, as you might expect for a guy trying to break through. There have been flashes. There was a 3-hit game. There was a 2-homer game. So you know it's there. It's just got to be unlocked. I give him a C.
And I think the way he plays the game, calm, cool, collected, you see that play out on a daily basis.
Yep.
From one of the younger Red Sox to one of the older ones, with no offense to him, Rob Refsnyder. He has kind of hit a slump here a little bit the last couple weeks, come down to earth a little bit. But 106 plate appearances, hitting 278 with an 868 OPS. He had 1 homer in 2023. Last year, 11. This year, 5. So he's found a way to lift the ball. And of course, with Rob Refsnyder, it's all about the left-handed numbers. And they're a 942 OPS, 4 homers, 4 doubles. playing that role exceedingly well. And a guy that is Smitty called him Benjamin Button, of course. But when you look at it, a guy who, you know, does his job, does it well. I give him, an A minus again on that expectation scale. He's been really good for them.
Yeah, I went B plus, but again, we're in the same neighborhood. Um, the fact that going forward, I think they can mostly keep him off his feet in the outfield and maybe platoon him with Yoshida in the DH spot is going to get him more regular at bats, maybe preserve his body, which tends to get banged up a little bit when he's playing the outfield for longer stretches. An absolute lefty killer, as you noted at the time I wrote this, he had a 972 OPS against lefties. And, maybe this is hard to translate into, or match up with all the numbers, but a hugely important clubhouse guy, too. One of the guys that Alex Cora leans on as a liaison, as somebody who can, uh, tap guys on the shoulder when things aren't going well. Uh, a guy that young players can go to and lean on. So I gave him a B plus.
Yeah, and I think in terms of leadership, the team belongs to Refsnyder, Story, and Bregman. No question there. David Hamilton's next. We talk about David Hamilton a lot on this show. 120 plate appearances, 506 OPS, three doubles, three homers. Playing a little bit more now with Christian Campbell in AAA. And he still has a 506 OPS. He has a positive WAR barely because of defense. D for me.
Yep, I did the same. To me, he's been a disappointment because he's contributed almost nothing. Did have the big home run on the road a couple of weeks ago. I think was that in Detroit? I think it was.
Yeah,
Uh,
6 weeks ago.
yeah, uh, almost no contributions with the bat. A very good base stealer, still good base runner with good instincts. I even think the defense has been a little sloppy at times. I know that the defensive run saves and the metrics look pretty good, but the eye test is that he's not been uh, as good in the field as he has been the last couple of years. So I gave him a D.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. He shouldn't be playing this much, but that's where they are with Campbell. So the second base carousel moves along. Next is Romy Gonzalez. The other side of this is a guy that, we've talked about as, not being a starter on a good team. No, no matter how you slice it, like I look at this kind of similar to how you do Justin Wilson, a specific role. He has more plate appearances against lefties and righties. Against righties, he's been below average. Against lefties, though, he's been way better. I mean, not way, but because they've both been good, but better than Refsnyder. And that's a 352 average. Five doubles, three homers, a triple, and a 1.074 OPS. When you carve out that role and you have it, to me, that's something. He is a guy who does his job, and on a contending team that's valuable. On this team, he probably plays a little too much. That's not his fault. A minus for Romy.
Yeah, I went B, in part because, he's a guy that you have to kind of worry about matchups. You can't expose him to a lot of right-handed hitting. If you do, you're going to get subpar performance.
Yeah.
He absolutely rakes against lefties, as you just read those numbers. And I think he's worked to get better at first. I think there's still some unfamiliarity with the position. You see him maybe sometimes ranging a little bit too far to the right on balls he's trying to get to that he should probably let go. A couple of flubs, but also some plays that really open your eyes. Picking throws out of the dirt, he's gotten better at. So, he's conscientious. He's worked hard to get better at first, and he absolutely mashes. I gave him a B.
Yeah, and a guy that also, one of these guys that seems to always be banged up. So it's kind of, what you're going to get out of him there. And we saw that earlier. Um, Honest Abe Toro, a guy that did not make the team. He's played 42 games, half a WAR, 790 OPS. A journeyman who's come in and been what fans thought Dom Smith was last year when he became a fan favorite. I mean, talk about the sliding scale of expectations. And I know he's been bad for the last month, but a guy who is a professional at bat in a lineup where sometimes you don't have him. He's held his own, can move around a little bit. B plus for me. I don't know, maybe too generous.
Yeah, I would say that's a little too generous. I went C plus, taking into account that he's faded, although he had a nice game on Monday night against Cincinnati. Big run scoring single to get that first inning going. Um, probably average at best at both the corner infield spots. Uh, Probably being leaned on for more playing time than anyone thought, given the injuries and the fact that they're looking for platoon advantages and starting guys who are not everyday players more often than they would like. Some a few big moments at the plate. I went C plus.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I'm not too beat up about this one. And again, because we're doing this by plate appearances, you're going to be like, oh, why are they getting to this guy now? But 226 plate appearances and still the highest WAR of anybody on the team, position player wise, which is kind of ridiculous. And I think second on the team total. Yep. At 226 plate appearances, now been out for like 5 weeks. It's Alex Bregman, 938 OPS, 17 doubles, 11 homers, leadership, all that. The injury is the injury, so that hurts him a little bit. I'll give him an A minus only because of the injury. It would be an A plus otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't penalize him for the injury. I would say that there were times, particularly in the first few weeks, where the play at third was a little sloppy.
Yep.
I think he made 5 or 6 errors in the first few weeks, which is not like him. It got better after that, and certainly he's not anybody you worry about defensively in the big picture. I gave him a straight A. I mean, he was every kind of like Crochet, everything they had hoped for on and off the field. The righty bat they needed in the order to balance the professionalism and the leadership, and other than those handful of misplays at third, above average defense, so straight A.
Yep. And should be back soon. I don't think either of us think before the All Star break, like he said, but we're also recording this on Tuesday, and it's Thursday by the time it's going up, so maybe he's already active. Who's to say? Next is Carlos Narvaez, a guy that neither of us knew much about before the season. Of course, I don't think anybody did. 6 games with the Yankees, a minor trade, all that type of stuff. He's been excellent. He has become the starting catcher for your Boston Red Sox. The defense has been there. Uh, he's slowed down at the plate a little bit. I think the wear and tear of playing every day has gotten to him there a little bit. I'll give him an A minus, but I wouldn't, criticize anybody for saying A anywhere. I don't know where you landed.
Yeah, I had A minus too. The offense has definitely slipped again. Monday night, notwithstanding, where he again comes through with a couple of big at bats. It's incredible where he is now compared to where things stood at the end of spring training. It wasn't a given that he was going to make this team until the last few days. And now it looks like if you can make a determination like this after 3 months, that the Red Sox have found themselves their catcher of the future. Hats off to Craig Breslow and the scouting staff for making a shrewd deal with the Yankees on the same day that they signed Crochet. They also traded for Narvaez.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, he has done absolutely everything that they have asked for and more. At the time of this writing, he had 10 defensive runs saved. He had thrown out more base runners than any catcher in the game. His framing skills have been excellent. His leadership of the pitching staff, where he's a rookie coming in and without a lot of experience, some big hits at the plate, A minus.
Yeah, and one of the better stories of the year, I think, unquestionably. One guy who was early, Christian Campbell. We talked a lot about this about 10 days ago when he got sent down. Uh, Makes the opening day roster, opening day second baseman, big first weekend, big first month, horrible May, and sent down. Defense among the worst in the league. Did the Red Sox rush him? Does the contract have anything to do with it? We've talked about all those things. But to me, the highs were so high and the lows were so low. The middle ground there is a C, and that's what I give Christian Campbell.
Yeah, I went D, and I kind of feel like I'm being a little rough there for a guy making his major league debut. A terrific last few days of March and April that earned him rookie of the month for March and April combined, and then look out below. Just kind of fell off the cliff. looked overwhelmed, took the slump into the field, struggled defensively. Some of the at-bats were not competitive. He looked overmatched completely at the time. I blame the Red Sox for some of this, for both rushing him and then giving him the additional duty of trying to, learn first base and playing him in center field. Stop. Put him at second base or leave him at second base. Don't be adding more to his plate. He clearly was overwhelmed. But the performance is what it is, and I go D.
Yep, and again, book's not closed on him. Incomplete, I think, would be even more fair, but we grade on what we've seen. Next up, in terms of plate appearances for the Red Sox, is a guy who a very big topic this week. Again, we're recording Tuesday, so it's very fresh on our mind. The huge game Wilyer Abreu had last night, Monday night, 3 nights ago if you're listening, 1 night ago if we're recording. Grand slam inside the park home run. There's streakiness, yes. But there's been a lot of pop, and there's been a lot of offensive production for this guy this year. And the story is a guy with who's hitting 256, which is about where he was last year. 16 homers. That's already more than it was last year. 10 doubles and an 819 OPS. A 2.1 WAR player at this point. We know the defense is going to be there. He won the Gold Glove a year ago. Still criminally underrated by the fan base and the league for some reason. I don't get why. It must be the streakiness and the not hitting lefties. We've gotten into all that over time. This might be inflated recency bias, but A- for him. I think if you look at the numbers and you look at what he's given you and you look at where he's been, it's an A- in my mind. And you
That,
graded him before Monday, so you're a little disadvantaged.
right, right. I gave him a straight B. I can't get into the A territory because of how streaky he's been. That's something that he's got to figure out. There are times where he looks lost for like 10 days, and good players can't do that. There's got to be a little more consistency to the game. The defense, again, has been excellent. He is the reigning Gold Glove winner in right field in the American League, a guy who is making himself into a foundational player. But there's improvement to be made there. Not only the consistency, but the ability to hit lefties better has got to come around. I think it could. I gave him a straight B, maybe a B plus.
There you go. Well, again, it's all about when you do it, and you did it before his big game. Big game. Ceddanne Rafaela is a guy we've argued about a
Oh, this will
ton.
be interesting.
I mean, he's been good recently. He still swings and misses too much. He's worth 2.8 WAR, which is uh, second among Red Sox position players.
Huh.
Still, the OPS is 721, 60 strikeouts. That is a little bit lower than you'd expect, and obviously playing Gold Glove defense in center field. I give him a B plus because there are streakiness, but he's been good. And I know that you're probably higher
No,
than me.
no, you'll see why I'm laughing in a minute, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
All right. Given our differences on him, where I have been the big proponent and defender, and you have been far more skeptical and wondering whether he's
Well,
an every.
people don't. You also, of course, made up that report that the Red Sox wanted him to swing less, according to Twitter. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess we have to factor that in.
yeah.
I find it humorous because I have him lower than you did. You had B plus, I had B minus. He really, really struggled offensively through April, and that hurt the team. He was not nearly patient enough for a long time. He was hitting below 200, then in the low 200s. The arrow's definitely pointing up here, and I could see him finishing with maybe a B plus or even an A minus if he keeps going. He has taken to heart about what the team is trying to teach him, which is to pull the ball in the air in Fenway, and he's taken advantage of that far more often the last few weeks. As you said, second in position players in WAR on the active roster. Actually, on the active roster, he leads because Bregman's sidelined. A few ill-advised throwing decisions in center field, as good as he's been, and he is fun to watch
Hmm.
because he has great instincts, great speed. You just know if the ball's in the air long enough, he's going to be under it and catch it. But he gets dinged a little bit there for sometimes trying to show the arm strength off and overthrowing cutoff men and trying to throw the ball to home plate on plays where, frankly, he doesn't have any business doing so. That's come back to haunt him as the batter runner has moved into scoring position. but I give him a B minus. It's just funny that given our respective positions, you ended up grading him higher than I did.
Yeah, I mean, what did it for me is the WAR stat where he's behind Crochet and Bregman, the third most valuable player on the team to the Red Sox, and we could always ask the question, Sean, WAR, what is it good
What is it
for? Which
good for?
actually was the original title of War and Peace. So I just feel like this is one of the guys that, credit where credit's due. Maybe I
Yep.
overinflated him to try to overcompensate for my previous, you know, criticisms. Those still stand, still swings too much. And for the record, and so no one clips it. That was a joke about you making up that well-reported story. That was absolutely true. So take it. All right, Trevor Story's next. Um, the OPS is still 660. Hot and cold. Defense has been better. B minus.
Yeah, I went C minus. I would like to change that to a C. Um, in April, it looked like, well, this is the Trevor Story they signed 4 years ago. In May, it's like, well, does he get DFA'd today? And in the last month, he has saved his season. The turnaround started in Milwaukee. It's continued for more than a month. While people complained about his defense, it is now just about league average when you look at outs above average and defensive runs saved. That's all it needs to be. Nobody expects him at 32 to be a gold glove candidate anymore, but he's no longer hurting them the way he was earlier in the season. He's gotten better and he's starting to, let's remember this guy's on a pace to hit almost 25 homers. And that's not to be sloughed off. So I graded C minus. If I had to do it over again, it would be straight C, again with the arrow pointing up, meaning we expect a better second half than the first.
And, he has in June, uh, I think had a better June with a homer last night, obviously, than you would have kind of remembered. Even though it was yesterday, 2 days ago, 286 average, 5 home runs, 6 doubles, 23 RBIs in a month, and an 827 OPS. Playing in every game, I believe. He did not start three, 2 or 3 of them. Oh no, he started. He did
All
not
but
start
one,
one.
right?
Yeah, all but one. Yeah,
Yeah.
all but one. June 4th against the Angels. And so playing every day, getting into the rhythm. The defense looks better, eye test wise. He looks faster, quicker. And look, an 827 OPS in a month with 23, runs batted in. There's nothing to sneeze at. Of course, May was horrible. Going and looking at those numbers again, the OPS was 432. So it has been the streakiness that we've come to know. If they can get anywhere close to what he was in June, they'll be happy. So therefore, I went B minus. But at times an A, at times an F, and that's what it is. And last but not least, here is Jarren Duran. This has been a topic of conversation, I think, in the last week, more than it had been at other times throughout the season. He's still, other than the 2 games he had off, where he got into the pinch hitter in at least one, he's played in 85 games, 391 plate appearances. He has hit 253 with a 723 OPS, 15 steals, 20 doubles still, 9 triples. To me, and we talked about this the other day, the power numbers are something people don't talk about. And everybody knew that he, had a lot of doubles and a lot of triples last year. He had 21 homers last year. He has 6. And that's kind of what's weighing down, I think, these numbers. But he's also hitting 32 points below where he was last year, 285, now at 253. And the defense has regressed too. I think that's just eye test tells you that. The advanced metrics tell you that a little bit. It has been an up and down year. He's disappeared at times. And I think, we talked about how last year might be an outlier year. I think the gap is somewhere between where he was last year and where he is now. So I'm giving him a C minus, just because the expectations were so high. My expectations were a little lower personally, but from what they needed out of him and what they wanted to get out of him, I would say that. And a guy that you feel like could get hot and catalyze your offense for a month, but so far this season we just haven't seen that.
Yeah, I went C minus too. I wrote, a case could be made that Duran has been the most disappointing position player. He's not the top of the order dynamo he was a year ago, and the defense has slipped to the point of being sloppy at times in left field. We've seen, balls that look fairly routine, drop into his glove, and then fall to the ground. I think he's made strides in learning how to play the wall and rebound, take those caroms and get the ball back into second base quickly. So he's worked at it, and good for him. But he's just not the force he was at the top of the lineup. You can say that about the batting average and the on base percentage, and as you note, the decline in home run power. Streaky, and 253 with a on base percentage in the low 300s is not what they counted on this year. So C minus.
Yep, and again, the second half is ahead of us. Things might turn. Again, we talked about how in the other pod the difference between where he is versus where he was a year ago in Duran has been stark. That's the Fenway rundown for the second time this week. I'll have you covered in DC over the weekend with an early 11 o'clock start on Friday. 3-day games. Red Sox back at Fenway Monday for a first half closing homestand. And the Colorado Rockies. Save your ticket stubs.